Hi there, class. Hope you're having a great day so far. I'm here with my daughter Lila, enjoying a nice glass of chocolate milk with the help of a straw. Mmm. Lila, let's be honest. What is the best thing about drinking something with a straw?
Blowing the bubbles.
You are so right. You know what? I bet I can beat you to the top. Oh, we'll call it a tie. How about that? But what does this have to do with art? Well, you're going to find out. You are going to be using this straw to create a beautiful abstract painting of a flower.
Yep.
How, you ask? Well, you're going to do exactly what Lila and I just did. You're going to be blowing through this straw to push the paint across your paper. I can't wait to get started. Are you ready?
Yeah.
All right, you guys. The next few steps are coming up. See you soon. Hey there, class. I'm back with our supplies that we're going to be using that I will supply for you. But let's just go over what we actually do need to have to do this. First things first, we need some water. Just regular H2O in a little container. A regular watercolor paintbrush will do. A paper towel, just in case. You can use watercolor paints, black India ink if you would like, tempera paint that's been watered down, but we are going to be sticking with watercolors. I'm going to be using the color black. I will also let you have the option of purple and blue. We have to stay dark so that when we paint later on after this part has dried, the color will still be standing out when we have all the other colors around it. So we're sticking with the dark. We have our lovely watercolor paper or any kind of thick stock paper that's going to hold up to water. And last but not least, the main attraction, our straws, which I have cut down to make a little bit shorter so there's not so much wind being blown through it. A little less effort is needed. These will be doing most of the work for us. So with all that, we are ready to work. But the first step is creating the central point of our painting, which is the center of our abstract flower. I would suggest putting it somewhere near the center. It can be a little to the left, off to the right, slightly up, or slightly down from the center of your paper to make it a little more interesting. Once more, I am using the color black. You may use purple or blue, but I've found that black is the strongest. I'm going to get my watercolor brush wet and get my black wet in the watercolor tray. You want to have a nice little puddle of water in the watercolor tray of black to make this step go a little more easily. Now that I have a little puddle of water in my tray, I'm going to place a little dot of this water where I want to start the center of my flower. You want to do this fairly quickly. Once the water has saturated and gone into the paper, it will not be pushed. It will not get moved with air. So once you have a little puddle that is above the surface of the paper, you'll be ready to roll. You do not want this puddle to be huge. You want to contain it at first, so keep it fairly small, no larger than a dime. Okay, everybody, now that we have a small little puddle of water in the center of a paper, we are ready to move on to the straw blowing. I have my straw ready. Let me point out, we are creating a radial design. Radial means coming out from the center in all directions. Just like a flower would bloom, a firework would burst out, we are going to run a line from the center all the way to the edges. We'll be turning the paper as we go so as to create a Ferris wheel effect. When you first start blowing, you need to push from behind the puddle. You're always behind it with the straw. And then you blow and follow as the line moves. The water is going to take its own route. That's what's so beautiful about it. Once more, you have to be behind the puddle of water the whole time and below as you follow it. I'm going to put a little more paint in the central part of my paper so that I can continue to blow out from the center the lines that I need. Once more, I'm behind it. I'm angled the direction I want the water to go, although it has a mind of its own. That's the process. You'll have between 8 to 12 of these lines that go from the center all the way out to the edge of your paper. Good luck! Okay, now that I've gotten a little further along, I want to point a few things out to you that you need to keep in mind. First off, notice my center hasn't become a massive blob. When you put more paint in that space, try to control it and maintain it so it doesn't overwhelm your paper at the end. Or if you continue to put paint in the same spot, your paper will get so saturated that you might get a hole in it. So remember to place the paint around the edge of that central area so that it doesn't get too wet in one spot. Now let's count the lines that have made it all the way to the edge so far. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Remember I said a good gauge is between 8 and 12 lines that go from the center all the way to the edge. Now granted, we do have some of these impartial lines, but that's the beauty of it. They're meant to be there. If that happens, it will probably add to your painting. I want to finish off a few more lines just to show you that this space seems a little empty. I need a couple of lines to finish off this step of my painting. So once more, I will slightly turn my paper so it's aimed the direction I want this line to go. Get a little more water in the central area of my paper. Remember to push from below from behind, I should say, and follow from behind as you go. Two more should do it. If at any point you feel a little bit lightheaded because you are blowing out a lot of hot air, take a break and then compose yourself and begin again. This is a great stopping point for me. I've got nice large sections that I can now paint in with the following steps that are to come. Hi again, class. As you can see, I have moved along a few steps. We've already discussed as a class warm and cool color schemes and the fact that you have to choose one or the other to complete your entire flower. I have chosen the warm colors. Sticking with yellows, oranges, and reds, I am filling in the space from one full long line to another full complete line, every time changing it slightly. I'm going to be showing you a few examples of painting these in and then applying or creating this really neat texture that you can see really well right here in some of these spaces, so that it creates a more lifelike and, more interesting rendition of an abstract flower. So with that said, I'm going to start painting. Using warm colors, I'll start filling in this space. Remember Remember, you want to stick with a medium value. You don't want to get too dark because you don't want to compete with your black, purple, or blue lines that you blew with your straw. I'm starting with my warm color red, and then I'm going to transition this red into a red violet. I overlap the violet with the red so they mix together. Then I'll transition from that red violet into just violet by itself. You want to move fairly quickly because in order to create this really nice texture here, the paint still needs to be fairly wet on the paper. Now that I've painted in this entire space, I'm ready to use another atypical supply. Artists use all types of tricks and different materials to create the effects they want. In this case, we're going to use a good old plastic baggie. I'm going to crumple it up and crinkle it up in a different way. And then I'm going to press it down onto the space I just painted. I'm going to hold it there. And to keep it held down, you want something with weight. I'm just going to use our water container and set it on top. We're going to leave it here for a few minutes. And when I come back, we'll take it off and see what happens. Okay everyone, it's time for the reveal. I'm going to take the plastic baggie off the area that was just painted and see what we get. As you can see, we've got variations of darks and lights and some creases and crinkles that are now found within our paint that weren't there before. And if you ever look closely at a flower, it has tons of textural differences and colors and veins, and it's quite beautiful. So by doing this simple little step, you can make a really wonderful abstract flower.